Hello, everyone. This is Tracy D. Armstrong, and welcome to What's Your Mess? Mental, Emotional, Social Status of Life. And today we have another special guest. We have Miss M.L. Ruscsak, and she's going to tell you today what was one of her messes. Go ahead and introduce yourself, M.L.
Hello, everyone. I'm M.E.S.S. I'm the author of the Are You Happy series, author of the Light and Dark series, but also the CEO of Triennium International and Trian Press.
Awesome. So we have an author and we have a CEO with us today. Now, I know that you haven't always been a CEO and you've had some messes that you've had to overcome in your life. Could you go ahead and let the listeners know what was your mess?
My life until last 3 years hasn't been a mess. My entire life was messed up. But we're going to go back from 2011 till last year, or last couple years. 2011, I was 28 years old, a mother of an autistic child, which is a blessing, married, and I started getting sick with no reason. Spent 6 months in and out of the hospital, only to have 2 strokes and brain surgery before I end up getting a divorce because my husband at that time was having an affair while I was in the hospital in the ICU.
Wow, that you just unloaded a lot. So let me make sure. So it's that. So okay.
Okay.
So I just want to, you started getting sick, you were married, you have an autistic child, you had a husband that you ended up getting divorced with while you were in the hospital. He was cheating on you, and then you had 2 strokes and you had brain surgery.
Yes.
Okay. So how did that affect you mentally?
Okay, let's go with mental on this. I went from being a bubbly, helping everyone, PTO, PTA mom, helping in the classroom, to I can't even feed myself. Literally, I had to have someone feeding myself. Dress me, doing all my hair because I couldn't do anything. That was a culture shock 101. I can't, literally, I might as well be dead. That was my mindset. I am not productive. I can't do anything. And if you want a world of dark, there it is. I was literally trapped in my own body. My mother was feeding me. There's pictures of this on my Facebook. And then I'm going through a divorce because I'm not worthy of my husband. This is mindset. This isn't actual, but this is mindset. And he's cheating on me while I'm in the ICU. What did I do to deserve this?
Wow. And that, of course, is going to lead me into the next question. How did it affect you emotionally? Because you just kind of said your mindset was there, but then, of course, your mindset is going to have an effect on your emotions.
Mm-hmm. So I was hating everyone and everything. What happens when you hate everyone and everything? That's what you attract into your life. You attract more negative than you do positive. So what did I attract? What did this lesson teach me? It brought me my second husband, which was completely negative because my mindset going into it was completely negative.
So you had a second husband after that first husband, and this husband obviously was negative for your life. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then let's flow right on into that. Goes into your social mess, I could say, because if you are being negative and if you're not happy, and now you married another guy, right?
Right.
So how did that what went on from there?
Oh, then we get to, I have to get physically better because I have to take care of my husband. So I'm forcing my body to heal while my mind is still breaking. Okay, complete contradiction. Wow. You can't heal the body if you don't heal the mind.
Facts. So how did you do that?
Well, The husband number 2 is very abusive. It started out emotionally and socially abusive and went into physical later. It went into social isolation. If I made friends, we moved. I didn't understand that's why we're moving every couple months. But that was the fact of what was going on. So now I'm isolated. My mind is, I have to take care of my husband. I have to be a mom to my daughter because my daughter only has me. I cannot go back to grandma or my mom because that's failure. And this is all my mindset.
Mhm.
This isn't fact. This is mindset. I could have left to go back home at any time if I would have had the mindset that was appropriate.
Mhm.
I would have had the mindset to just say, stop, I'm done. I could have left. I didn't have that mindset because I already failed my first marriage.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, so here's the mindset. I'm already a failure. And these are self words I told myself. What happens when you tell yourself negative things? You believe them. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what other people say, you're going to believe them. But then a ray of light happened. I'm out in Las Vegas in 2017, and I get picked up by a radio show that says, you have a great voice, come host this radio show. And that radio show led to meeting a mentor that literally saved my life. And that's Antonio T. Smith.
Okay. So let me just rewind because there's a lot in this story. Okay.
Yep.
Now, mentally, your mindset feels like you're a failure.
Mhm.
Therefore, your emotions are more negative emotions, hatred, and things like that. Your social status, your social life changed because, like you said, you were moving every other month once you made friends
Mhm.
because of your second husband, who was also abusive. Now, all of that affects your status of life. Now, you're in Las Vegas and you get asked to do this radio show. Now, I have a question there. When you got asked to do the radio show, what was your second husband still in the picture, and what was his thoughts?
His thought, we were on a trial of separation at this point.
Okay.
So even though he was in the picture, it's still being abusive, because even when you leave an abusive relationship, the abuse doesn't stop.
Mm.
There's still the stalking, there's still the harassment, there's still a lot of things going on. So we're doing a trial separation. We did have the paperwork filed for the divorce, thankfully. And it wasn't his decision to do the radio show. It was my decision.
Mhm.
Now, at the same time, I don't know anything about radio. I don't have a degree in journalism. I don't have a degree in radio. I don't even like talking on the radio in 2017. I don't like talking to people. Why don't I like talking to people? I've been isolated for several years.
Mhm.
So that's where I was in 2017.
Okay. So then from there,
Mhm.
you did the radio show, and then you said you ran into a mentor. So is this when you started coming out of your mess?
That was when I started coming out of it.
Okay. Tell us about that.
So it took doing a radio show with Antonio. And you can go back and listen to the original audio. It was horrible. Compared to what is now, it was horrible. It was trash. But after the show, he said, I've known you for 30 minutes. What's holding you back? You don't have to tell me, but ask yourself what's holding you back. And he started going into this whole spiel. And anyone that looks at Antonio, listens to this podcast and anything, knows he talks a lot. Okay, so there's a whole conversation there. And it was after that conversation, I started learning how to be a life coach, because I don't want to find a life coach. I wanted to understand the process of what a life coach is.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I can give this information to my still husband, because we weren't divorced yet. And maybe he can come on this journey to get out of the negativity together. Let's try to fix the marriage, because this is, again, mindset. I failed my first marriage. I want to fix my second. So I have to fix him while I'm fixing myself, which doesn't work very well.
Mm.
But that led into, okay, I'm doing the steps. I'm getting my mind right. I'm taking time and doing what makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
While my spouse is not progressing.
Okay.
Now, where's the problem? Is it with me or is it with him? I can't change him, so I need to leave.
Okay.
So we're still going through the divorce through 2017 through 2020.
Wow.
Yes, long divorce. Don't ever drag it. And I wasn't fighting for anything. Let's get it straight real quick. I wasn't fighting for anything except for the last name. I wasn't changing it. Why wasn't I changing it? 2013, I wrote my first book. 2014, I wrote a second book. 2016, I wrote a third book. I have a following. 2017, I have a radio show. Everyone knows that last name. I'm not changing the last name.
Mm-hmm.
That would be branding suicide at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going back to school for marketing. I'm going back to school for other things. Why? Because I'm a published author. I don't like my publishing house. They're great people. I don't feel comfortable there because I'm one of those people. Now that I'm evolving, I have to be in charge. I'm a horrible employee. I'm a great boss. So I'm changing my mindset through 2020. In 2020, I said, okay, I have all the information now that I need to create a company. So that's what I did. But in between this, 2017, I opened my first company. It failed. Why did it fail? My mind, my social, and my emotions was a mess.
Mm.
My mind wasn't right. My body was getting there. My mind was not there. My social skills was not there. I'm still a mess. My company's failing. 2018, 19, my company's failing because my mindset, my life around me is still a mess. You go through the trauma, you go through all this added extra stress, and your company's not going to succeed. You're not failing, you're learning.
Well, that's good. You're not failing, you're learning. That's good.
So that brings us to 2020. Okay, I'm going to start small with 12 authors and slowly build the company. While I'm slowly building the company, I'm getting myself happy. What do I need to become happy in 2020? Let's think about that. Year of reset. It was a year of reset. I took my radio show from a radio show to a video podcast that's now going to TV. Because I was hiding myself behind the camera. If you're hiding a part of yourself, you're not growing. I needed to be in front of the camera to grow because I had a fear, and until you conquer the fear, you're going to stay stuck.
100% agree. You have to conquer the fear. So then I just want to go back because you said something and I want to make sure I heard this right. In 2013, you wrote your first book. Is that correct? So
That
you
is
wrote your first book while you were still sick.
Yes.
Okay. And then you wrote your second book in which year?
2014.
So you wrote two books while you were still sick.
Yes.
Okay. And then is this the Happy series?
No, this was
Oh,
my Light and Dark, my fantasy series.
oh,
My,
okay,
my
okay.
then husband said, I bet you can't get a book and get it published. Now, mind you, he's abusive. He doesn't
Mhm.
want me to write the book and he doesn't want me to succeed, but I did. So this is going to have a negative effect on my life, my marriage, but have a positive effect in my growth.
Ooh, that's facts. Something that could be looked at as negative on one aspect could be positive in another aspect.
You
Okay.
have to decide, yeah. So I had to decide what part of my life I was going to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to write the second book because it was a positive experience for me. And I'm attracted to positive naturally. When I start getting my mindset back, because I actually did something good. Now I'm going to duplicate what made me feel good. It was a positive. So I read the second book. Now I'm getting people coming up to dinner tables and asking for my autograph with my then husband. Now you go back to the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So am I fixing my marriage or am I fixing myself?
Mm. And I'm gonna fast forward because you said 22. I'm coming back to 2020.
Mhm.
2020, I would say, is the year of reset, like you kind of said.
Mhm.
So you started your own company. Well, you had already started your company, but you
Yes.
felt like it failed. Mindset wasn't where it needed to be. Emotions were not there yet. So how did you get to where you are now after 2020?
February of 2020, I finally got my divorce. I had cake. I don't eat cake, but I had cake. I celebrated. Now I have to move forward. Now I had to go to, okay, what's the business mindset? And I had to separate myself. Literally, this is hard to do too. You separate yourself. What's your business mindset? Because I have a business idea. How do I make the business work? Because my life is crumbling around me. I have my grandmother, I have daughter, I have mom, my dad's sick. Everything is negative in my life, but I want my business to succeed. So how do I separate myself? So I had to figure that out. And then I started going through old podcasts, found the lessons that Antonio gave me access to back in 2017, refound my information for being a life coach, and started reworking the steps. Well, on the business end, making sure I had a COO that it could work with me, that understand where I was, where I'm going, where I want the company to be, and also having a business mentor who I thought was a business mentor, and putting all the pieces together very slowly. So yes, I created Tree and Press in 2020. I created Triennium International in 2020. I did not actually incorporate until October of 2020.
Okay. And now you have Tree and Press.
Mhm.
What all do you have now? Let's just go, because I that's one that you just mentioned. What else do you have right now?
Okay, so there is Triennium International, which is the mother company of everything I own. Triennium International owns Triennium Lions Media. That's my media corporation. That company owns Tree and Press. Now there's two other companies under that media company I'm not mentioning yet for two reasons. One, they're not public knowledge, and I don't want them public knowledge until I get them where I want them to be. At the same time, I also have TLM under Triennium International. TLM is my holdings company where I invest in other businesses. Some of the businesses I own outright, and some of them I just go, like my Uncle Tom, here's money, make me more money.
Okay. Now, for our listeners, because what you just said, like you have come from a mess to a message. So, what would you tell the listeners who may be going through any of those messes that you went through, whether it be your health or your marriage or your business or your mind? What advice would you give the listeners to come out of their mess?
One, are you happy? Obviously, if you're in a mess, you're not happy. What would make you happy? Okay, you have to find this for yourself. Do not find it for your family. Do not find it for your kids. Do not find it for your spouse, your significant other, or anyone else in your circle. What will make you happy? Now, once you find out what makes you happy, go for it. You're going to get a lot of pushback. You're going to get a lot of negative pulling you back because it's not what people think you should be doing or what your family wants you to do. Do it anyways. Have fun. After you find out what makes you happy, you're going to find out two things. You're going to find out who your real friends are, and all the fake ones will drop off. And you're going to find out who your real family is. Your real family may or may not be blood related. It's okay. You do not have to stay in a negative area. You can go to the light and you can thrive and you can be whoever you want to be. I went from creating a company with zero money that is now making lots of money, which I'm very happy with. But at the same time, I'm able with that money to bring on new authors. I'm able to take experienced authors, best-selling authors, and get them further exposure. I'm happy helping others. What makes you happy?
That is an awesome piece of advice. And like, I want to ask this one last question. You just said, what makes them happy?
Mhm.
If someone was trying to figure out what makes them happy, what could they do? Like, what do you think they could do to try to figure out what makes them happy?
Well, there's two things this is me.
Mhm.
You find a coach that you can work with, a life coach. If you cannot afford a life coach because they're expensive, buy a book that teaches you the guide to becoming happy. Would you rather invest $30 in yourself and be honest with yourself, or invest $3,000 in yourself and maybe that coach isn't ready to work with you, or they're not the right coach? You have to find what medium works for you. At the same time, there's so many great podcasts out there, so you can start finding the nuggets you need to pick up the pieces to find what makes you happy. And then you can reach out to other people.
That's good. Life coach, mentors, that's good. Books, podcasts, yes, yes. Awesome. Now, if the audience, the listeners wanted to follow you or find you anywhere, where could they find you?
Well, if you want to go personal, I'm going to separate because I always separate everything. You want to go to my personal stuff. You want to go to www.mlrusk, as in cat, sak.com. And that's everywhere you can connect with me personally. That is, if you want to buy any of my books, they'll tell you where to get them. It'll tell you the names. It'll show you where to get them. And please, please, please find what makes you happy, because that's what we're here for. If you want to connect with me as a business, you want to go to Trient, TRIENT, PRESS.com. If you're an author and you want to get your book published. And that's self-help, motivational. That's also fiction. I do both. Non-fiction, fiction, it doesn't matter. I want to help you succeed. If you are looking at what I do, actually, the only website I'm going to give is Trient, TRIENT, training-press.com. And that's everything that's under Training Press, because there's actually 4 companies there.
Okay, awesome. And I will have all of her information at the end of the broadcast. So, any last words for our listeners?
You can overcome anything. I had to overcome 3 strokes, brain surgery, a cheating husband, then a domestic violence husband, poverty, homelessness, and a lot of other things through 28 to 32 years. You don't have an expiration date of when you have to do something. You can start today. You don't have to say, oh, I should have did this when I was 18. Okay, what's stopping you now? There's no expiration date. Find your happy and go for it.
Awesome. We're going to end with that one. Find your happy and go for it. And the quote that I like to leave you all with: if you want to stay sad, keep thinking about the past. If you want to be anxious and worried, keep thinking about the future. But if you want to be happy, focus on the present and be grateful for the things that you do have today. This is Tracy D. Armstrong, another episode of What's Your Mess? Have a good day, everyone.